Morning. I'm Dwight Keene. I'm Chair of the Kansas Corporation Commission. I'm joined this morning by Commissioner French. Commissioner Duffy, are you there?
Looks like we lost her again. She's
Well, hang on. Commissioner Duffy, can you hear me?
I am back on again.
All right. Well, let's start again. Okay. Very good. Good morning. I'm Dwight Keene. I'm Chair of the Kansas Corporation Commission. I'm joined this morning by fellow Commissioners Susan Duffy and Commissioner Andrew French. At this time, I will call to order this meeting on this meeting of the Kansas Corporation Commission on this Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. Commissioners, first matter is up for our consideration this morning are 37 items on the consent agenda. We've had the opportunity to review the contents of the draft orders in each of these matters. I'll turn to each of you in turn and ask if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and I'll begin with Commissioner Duffy.
Good morning, everyone. I have no questions or comments.
Thank you. Commissioner French?
No questions. I move approval of the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. The first of our noticed items this morning is the consolidation for consideration of 4 dockets. And those 4 dockets are docket number 20-GIMX-393-MIS, docket number 20-GIMG-423-ACT, docket number 20-EPDE-427-ACT, and docket number 20-EKME-454-ACT. In essence, each of these dockets has the commonality in that it addresses aspects of the COVID-19 pandemic in the state of Kansas. For a further description of the matters that are before us this morning, and the order that discontinues additional consumer protections for customers of Kansas jurisdictional utilities from COVID-19 pandemic, that's the order before us. I'll turn to our General Counsel, Brian Fedotin. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Commissioners. On December 2nd, our staff recommended discontinuing the minimum customer protections that were put in place due to the COVID pandemic. And those were accounting authority order deferrals. And these include accounting authority order deferrals related to COVID and customer reporting requirements. Staff's report and recommendation notes that most other jurisdictions have already allowed these protections to expire. On December 12th, CURB recommended extending the protections through March 2023 and continuing the reporting requirements for at least a year. This order explains that, the full duration and extent of COVID is not anything that we can predict with our accuracy with the crystal ball. And the order does not use the term crystal ball. I'll assure you that. But it believes that staff and CURB strike the proper balance in dealing with customer protections and COVID going forward. Thus, this order would let the additional protections, extend the additional customer protections through March 2023, but immediately discontinue all accounting authority order deferrals related to COVID and discontinue the monthly reporting requirements. With that, I'm available for questions.
Thank you for that overview, Brian. Let's see if we have any questions. I'll turn first to Commissioner Duffy.
Thank you. Just a comment. I do believe at the time, the additional protections that the commission put in place were needed for that time. And they were truly a benefit to the people of the state of Kansas. Further, I believe the reporting that was required helped us to better understand how things were going in each of the utilities. I appreciate the utilities and their reporting and it was difficult to deal with folks during this time. And it was a long period of time. But I do agree with staff that, and other entities across the United States, now is the time to let these expire. But I appreciate Curb's recommendation that we keep this, some of the protections in place until the expiration of the cold weather rule. So there's that our folks are further protected. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner French.
I have no questions. I move approval of the order.
I second the motion.
And moving second, we approve the order in this matter. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. The order is approved. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next matter before us this morning is a roll call vote on the certificate of adoption of KAR 82-4-20 as a permanent regulation. Our presenter this morning is Hassan Latif, Litigation Counsel. Good morning, Hassan.
Good morning, Commissioners. Transportation staff seeks commission adoption of the proposed changes to KAR 82-420, which have been approved by the Department of Administration and Attorney General's Office. These proposed changes update the regulation to conform with more recent versions of the federal regulation. Staff presented this regulation to the Joint Committee on Rules and Regulations on October 18th, 2022. Afterwards, staff received a letter from the committee commending them on the work done to update our regulations. A public hearing on the proposed regulation took place before you on December 6th, 2022, at which time no one appeared and no comments from the public were taken. During the comment period, staff did receive some feedback on this specific regulation from an officer associated with the Highway Patrol regarding the language in this regulation and how it would adopt certain hazardous materials rules. Out of an abundance of caution, we reviewed the regulation and made a minor change to ensure our state is able to enforce the necessary hazardous material safety rules. If the commission adopts KAR 82-420 today, it will join a larger batch of regulations previously approved by the commission on December 20th. Staff's expectation is the Secretary of State's office will be able to publish the entire batch together in the Kansas Register later this month. By your adoption today, we will improve our compliance with federal motor carrier regulations and ultimately improve the safety of the motoring public. And with that, staff requests the commission adopt the permanent version of KAR 82-420 by roll call vote. I and staff are available to answer any questions you have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Hassan, for that overview. Before we move to a roll call vote on the proposed adoption of this regulation as a permanent regulation, I would ask if commissioners have any questions or comments. I turn first to Commissioner Duffy.
I have none. Thank you.
Commissioner French.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. The question before us involves the proposed adoption of regulation KAR 82-4-20 as a permanent regulation of the Kansas Corporation Commission. I will poll each of the commissioners regarding this question. Commissioner Susan K. Duffy.
I vote yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Andrew J. French.
Yes.
Chair and Commissioner Dwight D. Keene. I vote yes as well. All three commissioners having voted in the affirmative, regulation KAR 82-4-20 is adopted pursuant to law as a permanent regulation of the Kansas Corporation Commission, and a certificate of adoption to this effect will be provided to be executed by each commissioner. Commissioners, by my reckoning, we have reached the end of the scheduled agenda matters for this morning. Unless there's anything further that you would care for us to take up, I would at this time entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.